Hi, I'm Josh Dukeman. Welcome to Trial Trackers, where we will take some trial work that we do here at the Climate Research Farm and kind of walk you through the phases in this series.
And I'm Lantz Cornett, and we're also going to show you how we can use FieldView to take those trials and apply them to your own operation.
Today we're going to show you just how easy it is from a grower's perspective to put together a trial in FieldView.
Thanks, Josh. So if once you've got your field created within FieldView and you go to prescriptions, you can go to create new prescription, select planting, and go to FieldView seed scripts. Make sure that the corn selection is selected at the top in the middle. And from here, you can choose to select or deselect specific layers within your account to make your model recommendation more accurate. For the sake of the demonstration, I'm just going to remove all the field health layers so that we can move on to the script. Once you're here, you can select your planting date. Let's say you pick your favorite hybrid. One that I'm kind of partial to is maybe 6606. And once you type that in, you can select your current average population. Let's say it's 36,000. Target dry yield. This is what's kind of nice, is it'll show you the historical average of this field of, hey, your field average was 231. So if you want to stick to around that average or maybe improve it a little bit, let's say we're shooting for 240 bushels per acre. The seed cost on the bag, that's, varies by the year and by the retail location. So let's just say, for the sake of round numbers, we use $300 for your seed cost. And given the current market price for grain, let's say it's around $450. From there, you hit next, and it will generate your zones. And from here, you can see your current plan in the top. It'll show you what the FieldView seed scripts recommends, and then also a new plan. If you scroll down a little bit, you can see each individual zones, and you can actually select to add or subtract zones as well. If, for instance, you've got somebody who can only plant at a flat rate, you can select single zone, and it will generate a script for a flat rate all across the field. But let's say you've got somebody who's more advanced and you want to do as many zones as possible, you can go all the way up to 12 different zones. For the sake of the exercise and the size of this field, let's just say we're going to go with 7 different zones. One thing to keep in mind is every time you make an adjustment on this page, if you go to the bottom, it will show you all the different recommendations that have already been created. So you can always quickly reference the ones in the past. And then here is one of my favorite features, is the slider bar. Let's say you're averaging 36,000 because that's what you're comfortable with. Maybe you want to be a little bit more aggressive. You can slide this up, or you can also slide it back to kind of maybe dial it back if you choose to. So I like to leave it right at the 36,000 that we originally had selected. And it kind of gives you a nice curve here to show you at what point does pushing population really not equate to a more profitable acre. So once you kind of select and see everything in this area, you can select the recommendation that you like the best. And we're going to pick the one that was already recommended based off the model. And from there you go to finish in editor. And here's where you get the final say. This is kind of where I liken it to. There's an art and there's a science to these prescriptions, right? The science is the models that are generating these scripts. The art is still the person behind the mouse or behind the screen. Nobody knows your operation like you do. And this is a good opportunity for you to have the final say for what your operation will look like on this field. Now, when you look at these different zones, there's a whole bunch of varieties. There's 7 different zones here. But one thing that there's not a good spot to kind of show, hey, I always planted at 36,000. What would that look like? So if I go to the top and I select draw and I select square, I like to draw a check block anywhere within the field that goes perpendicular to how I plan on planting that field. So let's just select kind of one of these darker regions that seems to have the least amount of variability. And if we draw in and click and drag, you can create your own zone and hit save. Once you've created that zone, it'll be gray and it'll show up here on the left-hand side. Here you can punch in your standard population or your standard yield that you're used to that showed was 231 bushels per acre. And then here we can also enter in the population that we were comfortable with, which is 36,000. So now you've got a chance to kind of ground truth the model, right? You can test the science-based model, but you're also going to have the art of your own population that you're most comfortable with. From here, you select save and save changes. and it will eventually pop up here on the left-hand side. You see it shows a success. Your script is successfully saved. You can then go in and select it, and each time you build a script, there will be a date associated with it. So you can always go in here and click and edit the script if you choose, or you can set it as the primary. You can rename it if you like, or export it. This is where I think is a lot of people's biggest hesitation is, great, I've made this script, now what do I do with it? If you go to export, you can either connect to your My John Deere account, or you can download the file, put it on a flash drive, and put it into your monitor. From here, you can change the file type. It automatically comes out as a shape file, but let's say you've got a Pro 700. You can change it to the Pro 700 format to where it fits best for your operation. You can kind of see there's a variety of different formats that are available, but let's just, for the sake of the exercise, pick that Pro 700 and hit download. Once you download the file, you put it on a flash drive, take it to your Pro 700 monitor, you can upload it there and execute the script.
And Lance, let's just say maybe over time, you and I decide we might want to add a couple more zones. We can also input or plug and edit and add more of those block zones if I want from the north to the south.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's as easy as going back into this screen here, clicking these three dots on the right-hand side and editing prescription. And you can draw in as many different zones as you'd like. You can draw in, as big of a square as you want, or maybe even as narrow as one as you would like. And as long as you draw it in and click save, it'll punch it in there and you can put it in again. Hey, 231, maybe this one's only 34.5. 34.5.
And then also, if you look down there at zone 6, if I'm not super comfortable yet, maybe I'm just dipping my toe in the water with some of this.
Sure.
I can adjust that zone, correct?
Yeah, you can always go in and adjust these specific zones. And what's nice is maybe you even see a spot where, hey, maybe I've got too many zones. You can merge these zones together. So let's just go through that exercise as well. Edit prescription. You can select to merge a few different zones. And if you hit the merge button, you can select, maybe it's this red one here with this yellow one here, and then you hit save. Now you've wiped out that zone and made it one zone 6, and then you can put in a custom population that you're familiar with as well. So maybe this one goes to 36,800, and you can edit the script that way. But yes, you always have the final say in editing the population in every single zone. And I think what's nice too is if you look at the bottom, it will give you your average population, and also it assigns the total amount of bags it's projecting to be used on this field.